Ultimately, you have to forget everything. Don't have anything in your mind except who you are. Where am I? What is this location in the story? I mean, at least with my workshops, that's why I put so much stress on knowing yourself. Who are you? Who are you as a person? You are the first character that you know. You are the character that you know best.
A very good evening. Namaskar. Welcome to the Free Birds Collective. Welcome to the Free Birds Commune. My name is Shalini Vats. I too am a free bird. When we think about actor training in India, the first name that comes to our minds is Barry John. I have been fortunate to have worked extensively with him. His observations, his suggestions, his knowledge and experience, and his willingness to mold young actors with skill, care, and sensitivity makes him truly remarkable and special. Welcome, Barry.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
I heartily welcome all of you today to this evening session on An Actor's Paradox. It's you, but it's not you. Barry, I have one question from last session, that if you would have to explain acting to a child, how would you explain?
I would ask the child to explain it because it's something that children do without being taught by anyone. It's one of the miracles of life that children enjoy acting, love acting out, dressing up, going into this world of imagination, uh, and without any script, of course. They make it up as they go along, and so on and so forth. So that's why I always impress upon actors in training the importance of observing children, because there is so much to learn from them, so many skills and qualities that we have lost through the process of being schooled, being told for 12 years to shut up, sit down, and do as you're told. We lose that genius that many children have to enter into a world of imagination and to act. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Very, very well. So now taking questions from today's chat, how to build a good character? What is the right and the basic method for characterization?
Well, first of all, it's obvious that there is not just one method. That's something, we're talking about a world of art and creativity where the actor is the supreme artist and finds their own way to confront uh, this challenge to create a character. When we get a script, it's just a bunch of words printed on the page, and it's the actor's job to take those words off the page and onto the stage, as we say, to bring life to them, to make characters that are real, believable, logical, and that are motivated to speak what the writer has written. So there are lots of ways to do that. Each actor works out what is most comfortable and meaningful for him or her to do this job. Some people find it easier than others. But one thing it is not is an intellectual job. It's not just something you sit down and think about. It's something which has to go through a process, ideally, of workshop, which is what we do in theater. Unfortunately, people in films don't quite believe in workshops in the same way that we do. So it's beginning to change that we now do have film workshops where actors explore the script. They explore their characters. They may even change roles according to the casting in order to see the story, to see the scene from another point of view, and so on and so forth. It's a pre-production workshop is very vital to my mind for act. I mean, the thing is, in you can get a role and then you turn up. Your first rehearsal is on the set on the first day of shooting, which seems illogical to me. When with a little uh, preparation, a little time of preparation, the actors, along with the director and maybe even the cinematographer, can get together in a space and try things out. You know, there's no one interpretation for any role. That's what the history of drama and theatre tells us. Why are Shakespeare's plays still being performed and being reinterpreted? Because that's what you can do with great stories. You can reinterpret them. You can make them mean different things uh, depending upon the society and the times that you're living in, to make them relevant to your audience. Uh, yeah, so I mean, coming back to the question, I'm not just avoiding the question. There's no one way that I would want you to follow, which I believe is the be all and the end all and the last word in characterization. Because in my experience, it's just not true. People, good actors, have various means and approaches towards building a character. Uh, that's and that's the way it should be. Every artist finds their own artistic, creative inputs.
Um, there is a question that how important is the voice in characterization, and how can one work on that?
Well, unless it's a silent movie, the voice is always going to be important. The audience wants to hear those dialogues and understand them, and of course, the meaning behind the dialogue. The dialogues are not just words which everybody immediately understands. Every dialogue has what we call a subtext. There are meanings behind the obvious superficial meaning, which a good actor is able to bring out. You know, the same words, the same dialogues in different situations can be said in very different ways, have very different emotional contexts and connotations. So, but yes, the training of your voice is it's a major part of your performance, whether in theatre, especially in theatre, where you need so much breath and so much more voice than compared to film, where you're mic'd up, you have microphones all over the damn place, which help you to deliver your uh, dialogues. But nonetheless, the whole business of being confident in your speech, of giving it very clear meaning and emotional overtones and so on, it goes way beyond everyday usage of your voice and everyday conversation. It's a lot more specific, it's a lot more challenging than that, especially when you are playing a character that does not speak the way you speak naturally. Sometimes we have characters coming from particular geographical regions where dialect, you know, the way it may be Hindi or it may be English, but then there are so many dialects of Hindi and English, of course. The way Australians speak English is so different from the way uh, people from Scotland speak English, or even from England itself. England has many varieties of English dialect. I mean, the way they speak the language, which can seem like a foreign language, even though it's all in the same country. But the importance, I will never underestimate the importance of developing your voice and giving it a very important consideration in your homework as an actor. Training the voice, it's a lot to make your voice more flexible and therefore more gymnastic in the way that you can use it for different characters. I think singing is a great benefit in terms of voice development. Singers have to be very clear again on pronunciation, on their breathing technique, to have enough breath to sing as well and as loudly without taking a breath in the middle of a line. That's what good actors also do. They don't take a breath in the wrong place, which spoils the meaning of your communication. So I would just off the cuff, there are various voice exercises, speech exercises. There are even speech consultants. If you have a problem with your voice and speaking out or being strong and loud, because it may be maybe a physiological problem that you have. So you go to a speech specialist who can help you overcome that problem. Who will give you again another set of exercises and practices so that you can overcome that problem.
Listening is very important in acting. How do we improve listening?
Wow. Well, the answer to that is shut the fuck up more than you do. Excuse my French. But listening means you're not talking. And that's what half the time, at least half the time, if you're in a scene with one other character, 50% of the time you're not speaking, you are listening. And that's a very important skill to have, very important. The ability to listen, not to pretend to listen, to actually listen and empathize with what the fellow actor is saying, to react, to respond all the time, every moment. Remember, in a play or a film, what you are saying, what you are hearing is new. You have to act as though you're hearing it for the first time. So that's the reason that it's so important. A lot of your performance comes from your fellow actor and what they say and do, of course. That ignites in you your own performance, your reaction to what they say and do. So the ability to listen, to focus, is extremely important. It's really the heart of the matter in terms of, I say concentration is the mother of all our skills. To concentrate really means you have to listen very hard, very keenly, as a part of your performance work, always, on stage or on film. It's the same story.
There's a question that, in films where the shoots are long and there can be breaks, how to maintain characterization?
Ah, yes. Well, that is the shock that comes to actors, those of us who are born and bred in the theater and for whom developing a role and rehearsing the play in a very logical sequence. We start with scene 1, go to scene 2, 3, and so on till we reach the end of the play. And then we start running the whole play from beginning to end. In film, that doesn't necessarily happen. All the actors do not necessarily meet together in the same space, just as I was talking about earlier, vis-a-vis film workshops. Not impossible, but lots of excuses are given that films cannot arrange workshops. They don't have time, they don't have the money. Their actors are in different places working in other films before this film shoot begins, and so on and so forth. But Sorry, what is the question again? Focus
How
me
to
again.
maintain characterization during film
Right.
shoots?
Well, bearing all that in mind, that your very first, in the shoot, your very first day of shooting, maybe scene 48. You're in scene 1 and scene 5, but your first scene of shoot in the shoot schedule is scene 48. Now, how the hell do you know how to behave in scene 48 if you haven't done scenes 1 and 5 and 15 and 24? That's the reason to have a workshop before the film shooting starts. But then even if you don't, it's the actor's own responsibility to create a graph. I don't know of any other practice or means to help an actor take a grasp of their character and how to behave at what pitch, with what emotional intensity for each scene, if you don't make a graph. It may be a simple graph. We all know what a graph is, I presume. You know, you have the bottom line is the scene numbers, the pages that you are in, that are make up the script. On the left side is, on the perpendicular side, it can be just simple 1 to 10, a range of 1 to 10. How much energy, how emotional are you expected to be in any given scene that you are in throughout the story? Bearing in mind, see, especially with beginning actors, they have a tendency to overact. They put too much energy into every scene because they want to impress people. They want to prove to the world, look, I'm a great actor. But that's not required. In some scenes, you have to be very soft, very low key, lacking in energy, maybe, and so on and so forth. It depends upon the purpose of the scene, which you should also find out and know. Why has the writer written this character into this story? With what purpose? Why are you in the scenes that you are in, your character, matlab? You have to know the answer to that. Why are you there? What's your purpose? What is the purpose of your character being there in that scene? But then you take all the scenes, this is all preparation before the shooting begins. You make a graph, literally, you know, like any other graph. It has its ups and its downs. And the ups, there is one peak. There is one Mount Everest in your graph, which is the key emotional scene, the most intense and whatever. It could be the happiest moment in your life. It could be the worst moment in your life. Who knows? It depends on the story. But only in one scene will you reach 10, the peak. Not in every scene. It's a big mistake if you're in scene 5, like I said, and you reach 10 on your graph. Then where do you go? Where are you going to go after that? It's a matter of restraint. I mean, controlling emotions is a big thing in itself. It's a very difficult aspect of our work. The whole business of creating, I mean, generating emotions and then sustaining them, especially in film, where it takes a long time to shoot a scene, where you have to sustain that same emotion through many hours and many breaks. So it's not easy, of course. So, but don't make the mistake of doing too much too soon, you know? Work out a graph, know what is your peak? What is the most intense moment in this story for your character? And with what reason? You should know. And the rest, like I said, is all ups and downs. It depends on so many other things, whether you're alone or you're with other characters, whether it's a happy occasion or a sad occasion or a boring routine occasion, and so on and so forth. Does that answer the question? Whose question was that?
The question was, how do I maintain characterization in a film shoot, which is with
Maintain
breaks?
it. Well, yeah, maintaining it is. What do you maintain? You maintain the integrity of the character. You will have studied your character. You will have made certain decisions about what the character looks like, about the way that character behaves, the way he walks and talks, what rhythm. Is he somebody who's very nervous and speaks very fast, or somebody who's very slow, laid back, takes time to speak, long pauses, and so on and so forth? The way you look, the way you talk, the way you move, the rhythm of everything that you do, particular what do you say? All the things that make up a character and their physicality and their speech has to be maintained, whether you're highly animated, whether you're highly emotional or not. You are still the same person, the same as you are in your life. Every day when you wake up, you're the same person getting out of the same bed, presumably. And but some days you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, as we say, and you're in a bad mood. You don't know why. Some days you spring out of bed and you're very happy, open the window, breathe in the fresh air, and feeling on top of the world. That's the way humans are. We are always in some emotional state. Even when we sleep, the mind never goes to sleep, which is one miracle about life. But
Yes, sometimes.
the character stays the same. The character has to have integrity, as I said. Whatever you've worked out must be, there must be a consistency, as we say, in your character. You can't you can't imagine yourself to be very different in each scene that you're in. If you're the same character in each scene, doesn't make sense. You are you, and your character has to be your character.
Uh, how do we crack auditions? What is the first step for approaching a character? And there was another question which said that, generally in auditions, you're given very small brief, very this, she's bubbly, he's sad, she's happy. Now, in a brief given like that, how do I build a character?
God knows. I really don't know. One of the worst aspects of an actor's life is having to go through auditions where they don't tell you any damn thing about the story. They don't tell you any damn thing about your character that you have to play. You're just given this paragraph of dialogue and you're expected to perform it. Now, that actually is showing such disrespect to the actor and the actor's work. Really, it's disrespectful just to be given 6 lines and say, characterize this. Hello? Building a character is a very complex and time-consuming thing. It needs careful consideration. And like I said, why is the character speaking? There's nobody who will tell you. Often auditions are run by production assistants who don't know good acting from a donkey braying in the market. So my attitude towards it is everybody has to go through these auditions since they're never going to change unless some directors will not work like this and will want to meet personally, at least in small groups, actors who are interested in, or who seem to be potentially right for the role. So the director would spend time, spend time explaining to you the story and this character and the purpose of the character in this story and what he expects of this character. What are the important elements in your physical being or in your emotional, your psychological being, and so on and so forth. That has to be, as an actor coming to an audition, you don't know a damn thing. And it's very disrespectful, like I said, to a beginning actor to say, perform this, act this out, without, in complete ignorance and complete blindness and darkness. And of course, if you ask questions, then you're proving to be a nuisance and they'll throw you out often. They don't have time. They've got 100 people waiting in the queue outside to be auditioned on that day. So don't waste their time with your stupid questions. Hello. Hello, we are actors. Please treat us with respect for us, for being persons who are giving their lives to this art and who have reasons to want to know these things. No, we're not asking just to be a nuisance. We're asking because we need to know in order to fulfill the expectations of this role, this writer, this scene. Please give us information which we can act upon.
That if felt the need, one should not hesitate in asking for such details.
Yeah, well, you can try. If you get booted out, then you're well out of it. There's no need to hang around a place like this where they don't respect actors. Move on to the next.
True. Right, there's a question that how do I work on emotions of my character? Especially if I have not experienced those emotions myself in life.
Yeah, well, again, that's an important question. Good point. And again, points to the reason to have a workshop. I mean, it should be a part of an actor's training. I myself now, I'm doing a series of master classes. On every workshop I do, I look particularly at emotions, the generating of emotions, and then the sustaining of the emotions through a scene. And yeah, especially, I mean, most of us are pretty well brought up. We've not faced a lot of what life has to offer so many other people who are not so lucky, who are not so privileged, well brought up, have gone to good schools, and so on and so forth. So we don't really know what a full emotional life actually implies, what it means. We've never been in a situation where our life is at risk, for example. What do you do? What does it do to you emotionally if you're tied to a chair or tied to a bed and someone is threatening to rape you or abuse you in some way and possibly kill you? How do you react? That has to be explored. That's not easy to be convincing. Of course, what you will do something, but whether that's convincing or not is another question. What is believable? What is lifelike? What is and logical vis-a-vis the situation that you're in? I mean, so many films today are full of action, and somebody's dying every 5 minutes in these movies, whether we understand why or not. So, of course, it depends on your role, and you don't have to die to be emotional. But often we have to experience fear, great fear, which most of us have not done. For example, fear, particularly happy, we all know what it is to be happy. Sad, maybe, again, sadness can be a problem for some people, especially men, especially the boys in the group, because they're being brought up in a patriarchal society where men do not cry, boys do not cry. We are men. We have no such feelings as sadness. We don't cry. Hello? In this film, you have to cry, my dear. to learn how to do it, know what it feels like, know what is fake and what is convincing. So I forget the actual question, but the emotional life of the characters is extremely important, as an extremely important part of an actor's training. And if you haven't had it in your training, you have to find the means to get a hold of it, to get that experience. It is very vital, very important for an actor these days.
Thank you. There is a question in the few questions like this, that is acting a born talent, or it can be learned, taught and perfected by someone who's not born talented or is not gifted? Can that person become a great actor by hard work and devotion?
Of course. Is there any doubt? Where is the doubt? For some people, it's a God-given gift. They have been the soul of every party, and they're friendly with everyone in their society, and they crack jokes. So those people necessarily are not good actors. They are extrovert, which is an important aspect of what an actor is. I mean, you're not shy of doing anything, or saying anything, or doing anything in front of a crowd. And there's always a crowd when you're shooting a film. So that's something else actors have to get used to. But what's again the question was?
Are you just born with it, or can you, by
Yeah,
hard
yeah.
work, dedication, become a
Of
very good
course,
actor?
of course. We're not wasting your. We're running acting schools all over the world. There are acting schools. They're not there to waste your time to do something which is has no relevance to anybody or anything. There's so much to learn these days. So much in the way of technique. Like I said, the emotional life itself is something you would need to have in your training, and so much else as well. Of course, and unexpectedly, those who are introverted at the beginning of an acting course, during the course of the work, they change, they transform, and they become more confident. And by the end of the course, they're as extrovert as anybody else, which is wonderful to see. Our aim is to give you, I mean, at least with my workshops, that's why I put so much stress on knowing yourself. Who are you? Who are you as a person? You are the first character that you know. You are the character that you know best. You'll never know any other character better than you know yourself, or that should be the case for an actor. So yeah, you should know, and you realize your strengths and your weaknesses, and the weaknesses are what you work at to remove them. So you're strong in all departments and in all aspects of the work, whether it's singing or dancing or fighting or being emotional or whatever. Actors are very flexible, transformational people. They can do anything and everything. They're magical.
Right? There are questions on how to work on expressions of a character.
What the hell is that?
Facial expressions, yeah. I mean, it comes together, right? It's all organic.
I would hope so. You can't work without you. You're going to leave your face at home. Your face goes with you wherever you
Yes.
are. It's with you in your acting uh, projects as well.
Yeah.
I see. That's looking at it from a very what's the word? It's almost it's looking at acting from a very superficial way. You won't if you work from the inside out. Your face will know what to do. Your face will carry the right expressions if you are involved in your character and the situation in the right way, in an honest way. You don't consider your facial expressions as something separate. You don't go through the script just sitting in front of a mirror, pulling faces at the mirror. I mean, you can, but then that's a complete waste of time. that's worthless to my mind.
Uh, So there are a lot of techniques and methods which exist. How do I know or understand that this is the right process for me?
Because it works, because everyone is pleased with your work and impressed with the characters that you create and the way you perform. That's what it's all about. We are, all of us are working for an audience, whether it's a live audience or for the camera, and ultimately a much larger audience via cinema and so on and so forth.
There is a question that what do I need to be totally involved in the moment in a scene, during a scene?
I just said it. I said it
Yeah.
earlier. You're there, you are listening, you're 100% concentrated on what is going on in the here and now. Nowhere else. This is what upsets me about so many methods, so many intellectual, cerebral methods which have come into acting, especially from America, all the, but, the Meisners and the
Stephen Books.
Stephen Books and Stella Adlers and so on. I mean, you can read them just for interest, but don't aim to follow any of them. Just read and then throw the damn book away. Ultimately, you want to confront the problem yourself and find your answer, not Stella Adler's or Stephen Book's answer. That won't help you. You've got to learn to trust yourself and to work things out for yourself. You are the artist. You are alone in this job. On stage or in front of the camera, nobody's going to help you confront all that you have to confront as an actor. You're absolutely alone. So you've got to learn to rely on yourself, trust yourself, believe in yourself. That's so important. And have confidence in yourself that you can do this bloody job and earn your money in an honest way.
So you talked about, knowing yourself, knowing myself.
Yeah.
There's a question that how do I do that? How do I observe myself and know myself?
Oh, well, you'll have to join my workshop to find that out. I'm not giving away all my secrets in this program. But it's possible, yeah. And it's never ending. It's a lifetime's project, the project of a lifetime. It never stops. Why? Because we change. The world changes with time, and so do we. As we grow up from a child to a youth to a young person to a middle-aged person, all the time, life has its impact upon you and changes the way you think, the way you behave. So it's not a single. Knowing yourself is never. It's never finished, that job. And why it's important for actors, I always encourage actors to keep a diary, keep a notebook, knowing what you think, what you feel. That's outside of you. That's a part of a professional actor's job, especially after you've just finished a project, you've just finished a film. How has it made you feel? How has it impacted you as a person, as an actor, and so on and so forth? It's so important to keep a note of these things. And who knows, you may publish them into a book at some point in time, which would be useful for everyone to read and share. So
yeah. So there is a question that while doing improvisations, sometimes we leave the character aside and we come to our own personal selves, personal accent and my personality. How do I avoid that?
by being aware, by being alive and awake and working with understanding, that that's the easy way. But it depends. I wrote a few notes myself for this, though I'm not reading them at all. But ultimately, I said it's all relative. I mean, there's so much. It depends on the role. It depends on how different. Take an example. If you're a young person in their early 20s and you have a role in a film which has a campus background, it's about young people, college students, and you have a silent role in the scene. You don't need to do any great preparation. You don't need Stanislavski because you're virtually there yourself anyway. It's very close to who you are and what your experience is. So it's all relative compared to being a character like Macbeth or Hamlet. Hamlet, who comes home from university and finds that his father's dead. Not only that, but his mother has remarried within 2 weeks of her husband's death. She's married her uncle. Now, these circumstances don't match most people's experience. Maybe, but not generally. So the person working on Hamlet, who's a very intellectual, very clever student, and a great actor as well, as it happens. But it's not easy to play that role compared to being one of his friends at college. Just in one scene you appear. So it's like I said, it's relative to the role, the size of the role, the importance of the role, and so on and so on. The greater the role, the longer, then the more important it is, obviously.
There are quite a few questions that suppose like I'm not being able to do theater, or I'm not being able to take acting workshops or acting classes, not being able to join or do any of these things. How can I keep working on myself?
Very difficult. Unless you want to become an expert in one-man shows. That's an important aspect of our work. We need others. We need to be a group, whether we're in theater, and by the time you get to working in films, there are armies of people, hundreds and thousands sometimes, not just actors, but technicians, camera people, sound recorders, light boys, spot boys, costume people, and so on, makeup people, and so on and so forth. Armies of people. So to do anything on your own, even to train, I've always refused. I've had certain stars even come to me and say, will you train my son or daughter? I say, no, I can't do it on my own. They have to learn not to be the son or daughter of a star, just to be normal and ordinary and join a group. Usually they prefer not to. They think they're so special. But wherever you are, it's never that difficult to find like-minded people. People mad like yourself, to want to do this crazy thing of acting in fictional stories. There's always people. You have to look a little harder. Even if it's just 2 or 3 of you, or 5, better still, 5 or 6. That's enough to start a group, to start working out together, creating stories together, acting out stories, just as children do. Is what kids do famously. We say children are playing as though it's something naughty or perverse. Playing is what we do. Actors are called players because of this ability to get into the imagination and create something which is not actually true. We are pretending the way that children pretend in their play. Of course, children don't need scripts. They play and they play and play till the cows come home. They don't know when to stop their play. So and that's what's wonderful about it. And other animals too. Dogs and cats play. They're full of playfulness when they're in their babyhood. Dogs run after sticks and bones, and cats love to play with a ball of wool, pouncing upon it. What are they doing? They're learning what they need to do as adults. And that's the basis of theater in education, acting as an educational force. Unfortunately, our education ministers and education specialists are slow to realize this. And acting is not there in most schools as it should be, as a powerful educational medium to learn about yourself and about the world. But there it is, yeah.
There's an interesting question. It comes from an aspiring director. It's from the other side. And I'm learning.
Throw him out.
Interesting. Yeah. You are here, great. And you asked this question. Let's take it up. I'm an aspiring director and I'm learning how to develop characters. So let's say if I have to brief an actor to act as a fruit seller, what are the main parts I need to highlight and feed the actor to meet the role desired?
You're hoping to do too much. Too much is, as director, that's not your business. You may help arrange things. If you've got the character, one actor has to play the character of a fruit seller, you send him out to sell fruit. Let him have that experience, being in the street or being in a market, selling fruit. Then he'll give you all the answers to all the questions that you have. He'll certainly develop his voice, the way that those who work in the street do. Adu, 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 through the colony. That way his voice development is happening as well. So, as a director, of course, you are part of the process, and you will have your interpretation of the script. But like I said, if you've been listening, the wisest thing is for you to have before the shooting begins. Then it's too late. You can't give instructions on experience that's needed, which should have happened earlier, before the shoot. It's too late. But before the shooting begins, you can have this workshop. You can have this period where, with the actors, you're playing with their characters, finding out the best, the best things that can happen to make your story come alive and be what you hope it will be.
How to say a dialogue which is actually learned, but deliver it as if it's being delivered for the first time?
Just one dialogue.
Dialogues?
Dialogue. It's again a very, I don't know, these types of questions come from people who see it as a very mechanical, intellectual problem that you have to approach and learn. It's like some algebraic equation or something that you have to learn. It's not, there's no one way to deliver this. I said this earlier, there's thousands of ways to deliver the same dialogue. It depends on the context, depends on the actor, the character that's speaking it. It depends on who you're speaking it to and the way they respond and react to what you're saying. All this has to be discovered. I can't give you any answer because there are so many possible interpretations, so many possible answers to this one question, actually.
There is a question, where are we starting offline workshops?
Why?
Where?
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 How do you know we're starting offline workshops? Who is this?
This is Sneh, but it's there on social media.
Oh. Well, we're in Mumbai and in Aramnagar. That's where the offline workshops will happen. We'll give you the specific address. Though it's already quite well known, I think, amongst actors. But yes, we're in Aramnagar in Versova, and that's where it will be happening. By next month, 15th of November, we start our first offline workshop.
There is a question on how to improve diction, which basically means that I come from.
Oh, we come back. We've had that one
Yeah,
already.
we did that last one. There's a lot of repetition of the same questions. So I said, let's address it and say we did this last time.
Well, through the rigors of practicing speaking, you have to speak and speak. You have to be able to read from a novel, read poetry, where there's more of a rhythm to what you. Sometimes, not all poetry has that same kind of rhythm, rhyme scheme, and so on. And singing is a great help because singing slows down things. Often, though, with modern rap music, that's not quite true anymore. So much of rap I just can't understand it. They speak so fast. And but anyway, it's acting is about doing things, and speaking is one of them. So learning to speak is practicing speaking in any which way. This is a test of your imagination. I mentioned the guy who has to go out into the street and sell fruit. That is voice exercising, actually. Shout and speak so well, so loudly, so clearly that everyone in the neighborhood can understand what it is you're selling. Otherwise, you starve. You won't sell any damn thing. And you will starve to death.
I'm very self-aware about what I'm doing while doing a scene with another actor, anticipating a lot, remembering my line or whatever I do next. How do I not do it? How do I avoid?
Well, it's a matter of training. You've just there's no simple answer to the amount of training and experience that an actor needs. That's what I'm saying. That's the importance of actor training, that you confront these issues and get rid of them through practice. Yeah, you're not focused. It means basically what you're saying is you're not focused. You're not in the moment, to the exclusion of everything else. And always there's, especially in film, there's always a lot happening out there to distract you. Like I said, there's an army of people, light boys and spot boys and sound recordists and makeup people, directors, crew watching you, hanging on every word and move that you have to make. But you've got to learn not to see that. Don't let it come between you and the concentration you need, the focus that you need to be in that scene, to be in that moment and talking to the other characters that you need to talk to. Nothing else matters. Nothing else exists. That's the only way. I mean, you have to bring yourself to that point where you don't. That's what I said about studying all these American gurus of acting. You fill your head with that and it just gets in the way. Ultimately, you have to forget everything. Don't have anything in your mind except who you are. Where am I? What is this location in the story? Who am I? What is the purpose of my being here? And who are these other characters? And what do I feel about them? And so on. That's what you focus on, nothing else. You're completely immersed in the character, in the story, and what you have to do. You haven't got time to think about yourself or what your thoughts are, or your thinking is, or your preparation was, and so on and so forth. You're in this moment, right now, here and now, fully concentrated.
Okay, we are at 7:56, so we'll quickly take 2 or maybe, depends on your answer, 3 questions.
I'll try and be quick.
No, don't be. We will have more sessions. You please speak. What is the most important tip to crack an audition? I mean, there are lots of questions on auditions.
Oh, God, auditions. I know.
It's like
they're a pain in the ass, auditions. They should be abolished. They are harmful.
We need a rally against them. Yeah.
Yes, we must protest against auditions.
Auditions.
At least the way they are being organized in Mumbai. They're like cattle markets.
Yeah.
But like I said, ultimately, since they're so disrespectful to you, not caring who you are or what you've done or what you understand about the script, the story, the characters that you have to portray, just go for it. Act your bloody head off. It's an idiot that's running that audition anyway. It's some assistant, production assistant, like I said, who doesn't know acting if it's staring her in the face or him in the face. So just go there, prove to them that you're an actor, give it all the spirit and drama and that you can. Impress upon them, see, I'm an actor and I can act. Got it? Then you might get selected.
Yeah.
If you're saying at the end of your audition, oh, I'm sorry, ye theek nahi tha, ek baar aur karo, please. If you show that you're all sort of unsure and not confident and iffy about everything, that won't impress them. They want you to be confident above all things. So show them that you're confident. What you do actually is beside the point. Could be any damn thing.
There is a question. How can I join your course?
Which course?
Your acting course.
Correct. You respond, you send a mail to the appropriate address and we will respond and you fill out an application form. If you seem all right, then we'll admit you. It's that easy. It's all online. I mean, the applications are all online. There's no audition because they're just so difficult to arrange as things stand. We've got people who come from other cities, from out of town, who can't be in, if we arrange an audition session, there'll be people who can't attend, they're not able to attend for various reasons. So it's all done online. So just look out for the advertisements, the publicity, and respond accordingly. It's not difficult.
All right, we are at 7:59 and there are a lot of responses, positive responses like laughing emojis to your reaction on auditions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, please forgive me, but if I'm not anything, if I'm not honest, that's the way I feel. That's what my experience has taught me. And that's what I believe. So my aim is not to be entertaining or comical.
Yes. So it's again sharp 8 o'clock. And thank you so much, all of you, for joining. And thank you for all those interesting questions. And this is what we have for today. We look forward to joining us again for our next session. And we are there on Instagram, the Freebirds Collective, @the Freebirds Collective, and @it's Barry John. Let's stay in touch. Good night. Be very safe. Bye, Barry. Thank you so much.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Good night to everyone. Thank you.